Om. 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 Sahana bhavatu, Sahano bhunaktu, Sahaviryam karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Pratasmarami Radhi Samspuradatma Tattvam Satchit Sukham Paramahamsa Gatim Turiyam Yat Swapna Jagara Sushuptamaveti Nityam Tad Brahma Nishkalamaham Nacha Bhuta Sangaha. Hari Om. Jai Gurudev. We will just try to revise what we did in class and then we will go to the new shloka. I think we did from 57. I think I'll repeat from here, 59, I believe. Akhandanandarupasya tasyanandalavaśhritaः brahmadhyastaratammena bhavantyanandinokhilāः. Deities like Brahma, others taste particle of the unlimited bliss of Brahman and enjoy in proportion their share of particle. Tadyuktamakhilam vastu vyavaharastadandvitah tasmat sarvagatam brahma kshire sarpirivakhile. All objects are pervaded by Brahman. All actions are possible because of Brahman. Therefore, Brahman permeates everything as butter permeates milk. Ananvasthulam rasvam dirgham ajam avyayam arupagunavarnakyam tad brahmetyavadharayet. Realize that to be Brahman, which is neither subtle nor gross, neither short nor long, without birth, change, without form, qualities, color, and name. Yad bhasa bhasyaterkadi bhasyairyatthu na bhasyate yena sarvamidam bhati tad brahmetyavadharayet. By the light of which the luminous orbs like the sun and the moon are illuminated, but not illuminated by their light. Realize that to be Brahman. Swayam antarbhirvyapya bhasanakhilam jagat Brahm prakashate vahni prataptaya sapindavata. Pervading the entire universe outwardly and inwardly, the Supreme Brahman shines of itself like the fire that permeates a red hot iron ball and glows by itself. Jagad Vilakshanam Brahma Brahmanoऽन्यन्न kinchana Brahmanya bhati chet mithya Brahmanyad bhati chet mithya Yatha maru marichika. Brahman is other than this, the universe. There exists nothing that is not Brahman. If any object other than Brahman appears to exist, it is unreal like the mirage. Drishyate shruyate yadyat brahmanonyana tad bhavet tatvajnanacha tad brahma satchidanandamadvayam. All that is perceived or heard is Brahman and nothing else. Attaining the knowledge of the reality, one sees the universe as the non-dual Brahman, existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Satchidanam Jnanachakshurnirishyate Ajnanachakshursheta Bhasvantam Bhandavat Sarvagam Satchidatmanam Jnanachakshurniരീక్షతే Ajnanachakshurnirksheta Bhasvantam Bhanumandavat. Though Atman is pure consciousness and ever present everywhere, yet it is perceived by the eye of wisdom alone. But one whose vision is obscured by ignorance, he does not see it, as the blind do not see the resplendent sun. I think this and here, yeah. This shloka we did yesterday, but we will try to repeat. I will just read the lines of the previous shloka. Just as the blind man cannot see the sun, so also the person whose faculty of perception is not prepared to be sharp enough to grasp the truth. And therefore, he who has not developed in himself the eye of wisdom, who is not discriminative enough to reject the unreal from the real, whose mind is not pure, who has not the serene light of knowledge within him to illumine his right judgment of things, who has not done sufficient penance to acquire single-pointed devotion, who still superimposes the finite qualities of the outer world of objects on the infinite self, such an unprepared man cannot readily experience the presence of the eternal self as his own true nature. It is not that the Atman is not supreme, but it is the limiting factors in the seeker after truth that veils and distorts the beauty of the absolute reality. It is the blindness of the person that makes the sun dark to him, even though the sun shines ever bright and brilliant. All great philosophers had to, in the last analysis, take recourse to an imaginary power in the human intellect. And with the help of that faculty, they explain to the intellectual students how seekers gain the perception of the reality. Theoretically, the Vedantic teachers boldly propound that on transcending all the equipments, all seekers will realize the self, the truth. The students in the beginning try to follow the teacher only with their intellect. Perception or apprehension as understood by the intellect cannot take place without some instrument of knowing other than the object of knowledge. Carrying this impression, the student asks as to how one can experience the truth when once the body, mind, intellect equipment is transcended. The rishis impose here the idea of the faculty of intuition, Jnana Chakshu, for the benefit of such students. Contemplative power alone can apprehend the reality. This apprehension is not an objective experience. It is an uncompromising and total becoming. Please remember these two lines. I repeat, contemplative power alone can apprehend the reality. This apprehension is not an objective experience. It is an uncompromised and total. It is an uncompromising and total becoming. An ordinary mind turned outward in perceiving, feeling, and thinking of the objects of the world gets so agitated that in that restless bosom, the supreme cannot be captured in experience. The mind that is slowly and intelligently withdrawn from its extrovert fascination and trained to turn inward develops in itself the power to apprehend the reality. Therefore, the intuitive power, Jnana Chakshu, is nothing other than a mind turned inward and held in attention. In Gita, a mind so prepared as a true vehicle to reach knowledge itself is called Jnanam. In this context, the 20 values of life mentioned in the Gita in preparing this Jnanam are worthy of our attention. Swamiji says, refer Swamiji's commentary on Gita, chapter 13, stanzas 7 to 11, where the values like humility, unpretentiousness, non-injury, forbearance, uprightness, following the teacher, purity, steadiness, self-control, detachment from sense objects, absence of egoism, constant reflection upon life's imperfections, non-attachment, non-identification with son, wife, home, and the rest, constant equanimity, both in conducive and non-conducive circumstances, unswerving devotion to the Lord, solitude, distaste for blabbering crowds, constant study of scriptures, and diligent attempt to understand the deeper meaning of the reality as indicated in the scriptures. These constitute the 20 values of life. So it is in the chapter 13, we will see, but here very beautifully Swamiji has given the importance of Jnana Chakshu, Jnanam, which is, it is considered as something which is the realization itself. So when we are having an ordinary mind, which is always, you can say that busy with the outer world, then we will not be able to realize that inner peace, inner bliss, because we are always engaged with our five sense, like it has been said in the previous, that those 10 asuras, right? Through our karmendriya and jnanendriya, we are always engaged in the outer world. So as Bhagwan has taught us in Atma Sanyam Yoga, different techniques for meditation like japa, prayer, and what we do in the also. Slowly our mind inward, and like a child we have to treat our mind, because our mind, Swamiji had beautifully explained, it has so many memories where the child is not taken care of. So you have care of your mind as a small kid, and then slowly and steadily you have to bring it back to the core, and that is the Antarmukhi Sada Sukhi, as Brahmaraji always reminds us. So we have to remember that, and through our Jnana Chakshu, we will be able to become that. It is not an that we have to do some step 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have to reach there. No, we have to become that. Please remember that. Sat Chit Anand Swarup. And we are already that. It is just the veil of ignorance which is keeping us busy. And Swamiji is rightly pointing out, until and unless we do not go inward, we will not be able to feel that bliss. Anyone wants to share or contribute? So this shloka is very, very important. I read once again. Sarvagam Sachidatmanam Jnana Chakshur Nirikshate Ajnana Chakshur Neksheta Bhasvantam Bhanumandavata. Though Atman is pure consciousness and ever present everywhere, yet it is perceived by the eye of wisdom alone. But one whose vision is obscured by ignorance, he does not see it, as the blind person do not see the resplendent sun. So we are considered as the blind because we are so busy in outer world that we become blind, and we try to label ourselves also that I am helpless, I am overjoyed, or I am happy, I am sad. We label ourselves. Anyone want to share or want me to repeat, or go ahead with the next shloka? Because my this internet unstable notification is constantly coming. So if you want me to repeat any paragraph, kindly let me know. श्रवणादिभिरुदीप्त ज्ञानाग्निपरितापितः जीव सर्वमलान्मुक्तः स्वर्णवद्योतते स्वयं. Very beautiful. Shravanadibhihi, by hearing and so on. Udiptaha, kindled. Jnanagni paritapitaha, heated in the fire of knowledge. Jivaha, the jiva, individuality. Sarva malan, from all impurities. Muktaha, freed. Swarnavat, like gold. Dhyotate, shines. Swayam, of itself. श्रवणादिभिः उदीप्तः ज्ञानाग्नि परितापितः जीवः सर्वमलान् मुक्तः स्वर्णवत द्योतते स्वयं. The jiva, free from impurities, being heated in the fire of knowledge, kindled by hearing and so on, shines of itself like gold. I repeat, the jiva, free from impurities, being heated in the fire of knowledge, kindled by hearing and so on, shines of itself like gold. So once our antakarana is shuddha and we are free from impurities, it shines like it's like gold. In obtaining the knowledge on Vedanta, the 3 courses recommended are: 1. Listening to the truth from the scriptures as explained by the teacher, Shravana. B. Reasoning of the truths heard, Manana. And 2. Deep contemplation on what has been heard and reasoned out, Nididhyasana. Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. The footnote says, for more elaborate discussion on these points, read the chapter Fall and Rise of Man in the introduction of Introduction to Swamiji's discourses on Kenopanishad. So I repeat, in obtaining knowledge on Vedanta, the three courses recommended are listening to the truth from the scriptures as explained by the teacher, Shravana, reasoning of the truths heard, Manana, and deep contemplation on what has been heard and reasoned out, Nididhyasana. Spiritual discipline is intended to clean the mind of its impurities. As such, removal of the ignorance, avidya, alone enables the revelation of the absolute truth. It is a spontaneous experience of one's own self, and an earnest seeker after truth who is able to kindle the fire of knowledge in his pure bosom and who is free from doubts and fears, realizes the self in him. So, the egocentric personality, Jivatman, has to rid itself of its own limitations when it rediscovers its real nature as the eternal self. The ore, as it comes up from the gold mines, is mixed up with a lot of impurity. And when the gold is heated and poured into its molten brilliance, acquires to its real glory and beauty. So too, individuality, when heated in meditation and the molten self is poured out, it becomes to shine in its essential, immortal contents. Very, very beautiful. I read once again how important Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana are in purifying our Antakarana. Please pay attention. In obtaining the knowledge on Vedanta, the three courses recommended are listening to the truth from the scriptures as explained by the teacher, Shravana, reasoning of the truths heard, Manana, and deep contemplation on what has been heard and reasoned out as Nididhyasana. Spiritual discipline is intended to clean the mind of its impurities. As such, removal of the ignorance, avidya, alone enables the revelation of the absolute truth. It is a spontaneous experience of one's own self and an earnest seeker after truth who is able to kindle the fire of knowledge in his pure bosom and who is free from doubts and fears, realizes this self in him. So, the egocentric personality, Jivatman, has to rid itself of its own limitations when it rediscovers its real nature as the eternal self. The ore, as it comes up from the gold mines, ore is that, I think, impure gold. The ore, as it comes up from the gold mines, is mixed up with a lot of impurities. And when the washed off gold is heated and poured in, its molten brilliance acquires to itself its real glory and beauty. So too, the individuality, when heated in meditation and the molten self is poured out, it comes to shine in its essential, immortal contents. So very beautifully Swamiji has explained that in that Pavak Agni of our sadhana, satsang, seva, our true inner core becomes more and more shiny, and we will be able to realize that truth. We will be able to become that only when we do Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. Swamiji has given the example of an impure gold, that when it comes from the gold mine, it is very, very impure. You will not be able to see that shine in that gold. But once it is washed off through heating, then its impurities, they fall off. And then the pure gold, you will be able to see the glory and beauty of that real shiny gold. In the same way, once Atman is realized through various practices, meditation and all those. And in that, the conditions we don't have to forget. We have to, our chanchalamana, our mind is brought like a kid, slowly, slowly inward. And then with the nisangatvam, ekatvam with that supreme self, and samatvam with the Vishwa, with the creation, we will be able to become that Sat Chit Anand Swarupa. Anyone wants to share or to read? Kindly let me know. हृदाकाशोदितो ह्यात्मा बोधभानुस्तमोपहृत सर्वव्यापी सर्वधारी भाति भासयतेऽखिलम्. So beautiful. Hridakashoditaha, which rises in the of the he, verily, Atma, Atman, Bodhabhanuhu, the sun of knowledge, Tamha, darkness, Apahrita, destroys, Sarvavyapi, which is pervading everything, Sarvadhari, sustains all, Bhati, shines, Bhasayate, makes to shine, Akhilam, everything, Hridakashoditah, he, Atma, Bodhabhanuhu, Tamaha, Apahrita, Sarvavyapi, Sarvadhari, Bhati, Bhasayate, Akhilam. The Atman, the sun of knowledge that rises in the sky of the heart, destroys the darkness of the ignorance, pervades and sustains all, and shines and makes everything to shine. I read once again. The Atman, the sun of knowledge that rises in the sky of the heart, destroys the darkness of the ignorance, pervades and sustains all, and shines and makes everything to shine. So when that Jnana Chakshu is open, then you will be able to see everything bright around you, because it is pervading. Brahman is everywhere. There is nothing other than Brahman. And you are that. When that is realized, then that darkness, like in the dark room, the moment you turn on the switch of light, there is no darkness. Hridaya is generally translated as the heart. Here, the term is not to mean the biological organ that pumps the blood, but here it means that arena in the mental field from where the noble and the humane thoughts gurgle up and flow. The term heart here is used in the same sense in which we call a man of love and goodness as a man of heart. Very beautiful line. Hridaya is generally translated as the heart. Here, the term is not to mean the biological organ that pumps the blood, but here it means that arena in the mental field from where the noble and humane thoughts gurgle up and flow. The term heart here is used in the same sense in which we call a man of love and goodness as a man of heart. When there is ethical purity and moral goodness, then alone in that bosom can spiritual unfoldment and the consequent divine experiences come. As at the approach of dawn, the darkness rolls off and the light of its own glory brings everything clearly to our cognition. So too, at the dawn of wisdom, all knowledge bursts up to our awareness. So very beautiful. So once those all beautiful, our antakarana is shuddha, then those beautiful qualities like kindness, compassion, love, goodness, these all, you can say that the positive, like on Gurudev says, no, on each chakra, there are two positive and negative tendencies are seated. So through our practices of sadhana, seva, satsang, we are able to open up those positive tendencies. It automatically opens up. That's what Swamiji says in our hridaya. Hridaya is not that biological organ, but in from heart, the human qualities they come up. So you see in the all the siddhas, all the gurus and sadgurus, you see that they are that karuna will be able to see in their eyes. No, you can never see any hatred, anger, or even jealousy. You cannot see even the traces of them in their eyes. There will be constant flow of love and compassion, kindness. In which all other hearts they melt down in their presence. And to share, it's very, very beautiful shloka. Okay, just that is the end of the once we read through this. Okay, I finished the last shloka. Digdesha kaladyanapekshas Digdesha kaladyanapekshya sarvagam shitat. I think there is a different tune. दिग्देशकालाद्यनपेक्ष्य सर्वगं शीतादिरन्नित्यसुखं निरञ्जनम् यस्त्वात्मतीर्थं भजते विनिष्क्रियः स सर्ववित् सर्वगतो मृतो भवेत् इत्यात्मबोधः समाप्तः Digdesha Kaladi, direction, space, and time, Anapeksha, not depending upon, Sarvagam, which is present everywhere, Shitadirita, which destroys cold, etc. Nitya Sukham, which is bliss, eternal. Niranjanam, which is stainless. Yaha, who, Svatma Tirtham, the holy place of his own Atman. Bhajate, worships. Vinishkriyaha, renouncing all activities. Saha, he, Sarvavita, all-knowing. Sarvagataha, all-pervading. Amritaha, immortal. Bhaveta, becomes. दिग्देशकालादि अनपेक्ष्य सर्वगम शीतादिरत नित्य सुखम निरंजनम यह स्वात्म तीर्थम भजते विनिष्क्रियः सह सर्ववित् सर्वगतः अमृतः भवेत्. He who renouncing all activities, who is free of all the limitations of time, space, and direction, worships his own Atman, which is present everywhere, which is the destroyer of heat and cold, which is bliss, eternal and stainless, becomes all-knowing and all-pervading, and attains thereafter immortality. I repeat, he who renouncing all activities, who is free of all the limitations of time, space, and direction, worships his own Atman, which is present everywhere, which is the destroyer of heat and cold, which is bliss eternal and stainless, becomes all-knowing and all-pervading and attains thereafter immortality. The sea is stormy now, the sun shines on it. Similarly, the pure Atman, the truth which is behind time, space, causality, which is all pervading, which has no duality, which is the pure consciousness in all awareness, which is the substratum which all these pluralistic things play about. That is the one consciousness which illumines the entire creation. Without it, nothing will exist anywhere. Know that to be your own self. I read this paragraph once again. It is again the same truth. Without Shiva Tattva, we are all Shava. Whether the sea is stormy or calm, the sun always shines on it. Similarly, the pure Atman, the truth which is behind time, space, and causality, which is all pervading, which has no duality, which is the pure consciousness in all awareness, which is the substratum on which all these pluralistic things play about. That is the one consciousness which illumines the entire creation. Without it, nothing will exist anywhere. Know that to be your own self. And you are that subjective reality, that substratum, that supreme self, which is pervading all around you in all three lokas. It is all the same pure self, the pure Atman. The next paragraph. He who renounces all his desires and activities, his attachments, likes and dislikes, and his very contact with the life of this ephemeral world of objects, and he who is ever at the shine, Kshamyata, I read once again. He who renounces all his desires and activities, his attachments, likes and dislikes, and his very contact with the life of this ephemeral world of objects, and he who is ever at the shrine of the Atman, striving with determination to enjoy the bliss of his own self, that Mahatman becomes all-knowing, all-pervasive, Brahman itself. Immortality for having reached that and having begun to experience that which has no beginning and end. He too becomes immortal. The dreamer, when he ends his dreams and wakes up, becomes himself the waker. The limited ego, on transcending the mind-intellect equipment, becomes itself the immortal Brahman. Om Tat Sat. So that ends our wonderful Atma Bodha. So once the Swamiji has beautifully explained, once we become Raga Dvesha Rahita, once we become that, we feel that Asangatvam, Nisangatvam, once we feel that Ekatvam and Samatvam, and when we offer those Indriya Nigraha flowers to the divine, then we become that, we will be able to feel that Swamiji has beautifully given the name Mahatman, who becomes all-knowing, all-pervasive Brahman itself. He becomes immortal. There is no birth or death for the one who has realized this supreme self, the Atman. The way once we wake up, the whole dream world, it ends in the same way. Realize truth, all our, you can say, all our complaints and everything, they will end. Anyone wants me to repeat any verse, any paragraph, just let me know.
I think the last one is the
Yeah.
that is
I will read once again.
Yes,
The
yes,
last,
it's
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Whether the sea is stormy or calm, the sun shines on it. Similarly, the pure Atman, truth which is behind times and causality, which is all-pervading, which has no duality, pure consciousness in all awareness, which is the substrate on which all pluralistic things play out. That is the one consciousness which defines the entire creation. Without it, nothing will exist anywhere. Know that to be your own self. He who renounces all his desires and activities, his attachments, likes and dislikes, and his very contemplative life of this ephemeral world of objects, and he who is ever at the shrine of the Atman, striving with determination to enjoy the bliss of his own self, that Mahatman becomes all-knowing, all-pervasive Brahman itself. There is immortality for him, for having reached that and having begun to experience that which has no beginning and end. He too becomes immortal. The dreamer, when he ends his dreams and wakes up, becomes himself the waker. The limited ego, on transcending the mind-intellect equipment, becomes itself the immortal Brahman. Om Tat Sat. Please let me know if you want me to repeat or read any verse from the whole Atma Bodh, since we have little time left for Manana. You let me know if you want me to read anything once again. Or if you want to share, kindly unmute and share. Or we can just stop here for Manana. As everyone says, I'm ready to do as per everybody's wish. Please let me know what we should do. Brahmaraji, kindly guide us.
Thank you, Belaji. You are so humble and so nice. Really, thank you.
Dhanyavad to everybody. We all are
Yeah,
safe.
I very much support Renuji what she said. Really, I am also very much in awe of Belaji. Jai Gurudev. It would be very nice if someone or Brahmaraji or Patsiji or Belaji can just little bit kind of summarize, maybe selecting 2-3 shlokas of this, or just summary of the whole Atma Bodh if somebody can. So easy for us also to, okay, Atma Bodh means these are the vital things, though every shloka is important, but still, Jai Gurudev.
I think Dr. Granga is not with us. I don't see her in the list. Yeah.
You're right. Raji is not there today. Even I did not know. I think last shlokas, I'm all clear because before we go to the whole summary of the whole Atma Bodh, as Madhuri ji rightly said, that each shloka, each verse is pregnant with so much of, you can say that, so much of knowledge. So are you clear about this last few shlokas, what we did today? Because they are also very important. Shravana, the importance of Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. And we are very well guided in our Srimad Bhagavad Gita for the real techniques of japa. And so we are fortunate that we are doing it simultaneously. We can just close our eyes and we can just try to meditate upon just for a few seconds that Atma Tattvam, which is the substratum, the subjective reality, which is Nirguna, Niranjana, Akhanda, and which is Avyaya. It cannot be changed, it cannot be time, it is beyond time, space, and beyond all limitations. So please close your eyes for just few seconds and try to feel and recognize that Atma Tattvam. Hari Om. I think each one of us
Hey,
had shining.
Bella,
Yeah,
Balaji, hi. I just
yeah,
wanted to,
yes.
somebody was asking like a summary of this thing. There's a couple of pages in this other thing, which kind of summary of it. I can read it for you guys. Do you want to listen to it?
Yes,
It
Deep,
won't
sure.
take more than 5-10 minutes.
Nice of you, dear. Dhanyavad.
Okay. You can hear me, right?
Yes, very well, very well.
Okay. All right, good. I don't know how much it is, but this is from this other book. So the invocation, verse 1, tapas is auspicious word with which the text begins. This is therefore taken as an invocation. The Anubandha Chadushtaya is given fully. The characteristics of the person who's ready for this path are given: peacefulness, desirelessness, and aspiration. This is the thought amount to sadhana sadhushtaya. You remember the first verse that was talking about that, who's the student, who are the right kind of students for this particular Atma Bodh lesson. And the second one is the knowledge of the self. That's verses from 2 to 5. The path of Vedantic inquiry is direct, taking the route as the crow flies. However, its starting point is well-prepared mind, is a well-prepared mind. So, however, starting point is a well-prepared mind. Knowledge of the self is the most important. Hence, this is where the text begins. Action on its own does not bring liberation. At some point, the seeker has to come to knowledge of the self, for knowledge is the only antidote for ignorance. This means removal of ignorance through self-knowledge is the way forward. When that is achieved, the self-luminous self shines forth as it is now unobstructed, just as the clearing of clouds allows the sun to be seen. You remember that Magapaye Amshimaniva, that is the one they're talking about. And the nature of the world. verses 6 to 9. The text turns its attention now to the world with all its attachments and aversions. It is seen as a dream. As soon as the dream ends, the unreality of the world is experienced. The dream will only end when Brahman is realized. The world is also seen as a mental projection upon the self. The world is also seen as a mental projection upon the self. The objects in the universe, stars, and the planets are like bubbles in water. They come and go back into their source, the self. The world is ever changing, but the substratum, the self, is constant. You remember we read about that the waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state. That the same thing to the, what is it called, Srishti, Sthiti, and Laya. So that cycle, they're pretty much like water bubbles dissolve by itself. It's come back, goes and come back. that explained in the verses 6 to 9. The association with the ubadis. I think we read about the gross body and all that, right? The 10 verses 10 to 14. The idea is now developed of how the self, which is ever pure, appears to be tainted. This is traced to its association with the body, mind, and intellect, known collectively as the ubadis. This is a major concept in Vedanta and is the arena for the basic Vedantic sadhana. By explaining the origin of gross, subtle, and causal bodies, it is shown that they are not the self, but the self dwells in them. The self gets a coloring from them in the same way as clear water gets colored or flavored. That's a verse number 10 to 14. And then error of misapprehension. That's verse 15, wrong identification. The spiritual problem or predicament of human beings is stated very precisely in this verse as being identification with the ubadis or limiting adjuncts. This identification appears to taint the self, that is, give it attributes which it does not possess. We generally identify with this tainted self, not the true self. So when you identify with something else, some of this ubadis, then it get misidentified. The discriminative inquiry. The solution lies in using the human intellect to discriminate between the truth and the untruth, the real and the unreal, thereby reprogram the pattern of our thinking. So that's the verse number 16 to 17. The discriminative inquiry talking about that. And then 18 to 22, cultivating witnessship. When discrimination begins, the seeker is able to develop the ability to be witness of all his actions and thoughts. He separates himself from ubadis bit by bit by learning how to observe them, to study their ways, and avoid falling into their clutches. So cultivating witnessship. So when you discriminate, then you try to do the, this negating the ubadis and then not attaching yourself with the ubadis, then you observe what's going on with that. And then the verse number 23 to 24, mind is responsible. Clarity is given in these verses on how the mind is responsible for the delusion. Okay. And that was the delusion is the 23 to 24. And then the birth of the ego, that is about the verse number 25. the birth of the ego, how the ego is, thrives, that the 26 and 27. So let me quickly read this. In this single verse, we don't have a lot of time. So anyway, the ego talks, the part of the ego is like verse number 25, 26, 27. And then on 28, 29, supremacy of the self. By learning that the self does not need anything else to reveal it, we are taught not to allow the ego to hijack the function that belongs to the self. So from 30 to 33, that negation, doctrine of negation, neti, neti. So you identify the self. And 34 to 37 is the nididhyasana, with manana, bringing conviction. And then towards realization, where we did that verse from number 38 to 53. So from savikalpa to nirvikalpa samadhi, that is towards the realization, having come to this advanced stage of negating all the upadhis by the I am Brahman thought. This thought itself is now renounced, and the student is taken to the ultimate realization of nirvikalpa samadhi. So that is towards the realization from verse number 38, 39. And then 40 to 46, we're talking about emerging out of the ignorance. The immediate focus is now on how the new experience differs from the old consciousness, the ordinary consciousness. Some of the most exquisite similes are used in these verses to indicate how different the state of realization is from the ordinary human consciousness. Oh, wow. Maybe we also should write down the similes so that we can go over it. It'd be nicer. This is kind of summary they're giving here. And then 47 to 50, the universal attitude. We now get a glimpse how the realized sage views this world, how he relates to each and every object as though it were he himself. The poetry gets more and more intensely sublime with the climax verses on 49 and 50. Universal attitude, like you see everything yourself. Freedom beyond limitations. That's 51 to 53. Where from here onwards, the student can only marvel at the sheer beauty and pageantry of every verse as it oozes out the fragrance of true divinity lived in flesh and blood. And the revealing and freedom. So that's what we were reading last few days, right? 54, 55. That's in like they're enjoying the bliss, like how it's blissful when you realize the self. Yesterday we read that 63 to 65. I kind of mentioned about administering the medicine. One verse is seeing that whether you took the medicine, and the other one, the second one, it said whether to check whether you have taken the medicine. The other one, the last one was like as if you haven't taken it and not even looked up, that was about the blind person, right? Like that was one simile we read about that. If when the person is blind, then he can't see the sun, how sun is shining, like that. When somebody not making progress in the spiritual path, they won't be able to realize the self. And then the last two things that you read, Dr. Bella, this Balaji, about the sadhana, right? And the last one you summed it up, the 66 and 7, it basically, whatever you read. So that's what it says in this book. I think for our own sake, I think, I felt good about reading it again. Hopefully we may have to read it again at some point when we finish reading um, whole Gita. Then it will dawn on us.
Thank you so much, Maharaji. Beautiful.
Dhanyavad. Very beautifully summarized, Dr. Mara. So wonderfully.
No, I just read it from there. I didn't, I only wanted, because it gives you different headings, but then it did really, it kind of helps you to separate those verses, like how many verses it's focusing on just the
Yeah.
self. And then we
Yes.
did
You
some,
were beautifully giving the examples along with that. So we were able to recall that this
Yeah.
was,
It is
yes.
important.
Yeah.
It is
So-
important what you did.
Yeah.
That was expected. I never knew you will come up with this so beautiful thing. Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
and continue. Sorry.
Yeah, I would recommend. You read this. Actually, this is good. Like it is very extensive to read with what Chinmaya, this particular thing. When I'm doing this, I always look at it side by side. Is there anything new that I can pick it up from that book also? That
You
would
have
be.
PDF. You have PDF of
Which
this.
Yeah, I
This
posted it a
what?
few days ago. Yeah.
No, this summary.
Oh, the summary is in that PDF and the end of that book.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
one
it's
request?
it's the same book, it's the same book. If you go, it has a nice introduction and all that. And if you go, even the heading, it gives you page, verse number, and the heading is every heading. And then at the end, the thought flow in Atma bodha, page number 87. And it will also give all the slokas at the end, in English transliteration as well as in Sanskrit. So whoever wants to read it, in fact, I'm going to start reading this one also. 96 for English transliteration, it gives a list of all the Atma bodha sloka. And then for
Which
the
are the-
Sanskrit version, on the 91 page. I
Which are the
posted it.
slokas for
Huh?
coming out of? Which are the slokas for coming out of ignorance?
Coming out of ignorance. The one, the early part of ego, misapprehension. Yeah, under the misapprehension. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, it's a verse number 25 to 25 to 25, 26, 27. As a lamp illumines object. 28, 29, they are more like a self. So 25 to 27 will be the ego part.
No, not ego. Coming out of ignorance. It comes towards the end. Okay, I will read that book and find out. Thank you.
Mhm.
It comes after neti. I'm not this, like ego takes on the role of self, and then
Sure.
you have to detach it, no? That neti. After that it comes. That's it. It's okay. I will find out.
You wanted to know what? I'm sorry, what was that? Your
How
question?
to come out of ignorance.
Ignorance.
Like that
okay.
it
Come
is
out of
towards the end.
ignorance.
I just missed that number of the
Oh yeah,
shlokas. It's okay.
the neti is that the part, that verse number 30 to 33. That's a neti, the doctrine of negation, where you negate everything, and that
Yeah, after that you said
after
coming out
that,
of ignorance.
coming out of ignorance. Should I say that one?
Okay, it's okay. Waste time. I'll find out. You.
Okay, Nidithyasana, basically that's after that the Nidithyasana, and then the emerging out of ignorance is a verse number 40 to 46.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you. Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much.
Very
You're
kind of you, Dr. Mara, to help us summarize everything. My suggestion is shall we go ahead with chapter 6 in line, because it is so much in line with what we have been doing, right? So shall we go to that chapter 6 verse, what you did yesterday, Dr. Mara? The same verse we can have again, the
Oh, you want to do that
contemplation.
again?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I
it was
can.
very beautifully summarized
Yeah,
yesterday.
yesterday,
is-
my husband turned off the internet for some problem downstairs. I didn't know he turned it off. That's why I got cut off. And then I saw the time, it was 8:34, so that, oh, maybe you guys turned off. You- oh God. Okay, go
if
ahead,
everyone,
and turn on the page, and then I will go over it.
okay, okay, I will
Thanks.
share. In between, if anyone wants to share, kindly unmute
Yeah.
and share till I share the
Sorry,
chapter
yeah, I
6.
didn't want to
Yeah.
take, I just thought I'd bring this up, but if you guys want to go ahead with the Atma.
Also, this Jai Gurudev, these 20 qualities, Tommy just mentioned, should work on that. That will really help us to lead. Very, very nice.
Yeah, please let us just one by one summarize those 20 qualities.
Yeah.
Kindly till I share the screen, please.
Yeah. I
They
know.
are so
Just
important.
I can mention humility. First one is humility, unpretentiousness, non-injury, forbearance, uprightness, purity, steadiness, self-centeredness, detachment, egolessness, reflection of life's impurities, non-attachment, non-identification, equanimity, unswerving devotion, solitude, distaste for blabbering words, scriptural studies. These are the qualities we have to develop to reach there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this should be our, we should be aware and alert about all this. Very nice. Dhanyavad.
Slowly in a microcosm, we can work all these things slowly, become aware of all these qualities as and when it arises. So we can purify, we can correct ourselves.
Yeah, there's like divine qualities, like 21 of them that I think on that chapter, right? Abhayam, Sattva, Jnana, Dhanam, Dhamma, Yajna. So that's the one I think you just read. Different. I thought,
No, not that one. One more list, humility and all this is humility, unpretentiousness. That is different list.
oh, that's a different list. But this
Yeah.
is from the third third.
Hari Om. Shall we just have chapter 6? You want, Dr. Mara,
have
are you
it?
there? Yeah. Are you able to see the screen?
No, I'm not able to see me yet. I've started sharing, it says.
Yeah, I have. It hasn't come projection.
It is coming, Didi.
Mm.
Dr. Mara, you can't see, my dear.
No, sorry.
Oh, so I think you need to log in and log out and then once again log in, I believe. Everyone
Okay.
can see the screen, right? Chapter verse 15, chapter 6.
Okay,
Yes.
now I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm,
You want to
oops.
start from the beginning, or you want to start from the Pratipadartha, and as you
I
feel
can
comfortable.
start on the where I left it off, so
Yeah. So
if that's okay with you guys, then if you have any question, then we can go over it.
yeah,
When
yeah.
yesterday I want to mention something about Shanti. There was another uh, explanation for the Shanti in Taittiriya Upanishad. I couldn't read it completely, but then you remember how we say like that's that what is it called? You do the prayer song. That's not Sagna the song. Like you say that, right? And then you say Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. He said 3 times, right? That Shanti is, that Shanti is what we read in the book. Here Swamiji explains the way I said it yesterday. But then, there is this dukkha. Is 3 kinds of dukkha. That the dukkha, one is adi atmikam, is like
Yeah.
that like physical illness or mental illness or something in that person has. That's adi.
Adi
The
Daivik, Adi Bhautik,
adi atmikam,
Adi Adhyatmik. Yeah.
and then adi bhautikam is that neighbor, somebody annoying or some other troubles, or that animals problem, adi bhautikam, that worldly stuff, or relative, somebody else ill or some other issues that bothers you. And then there is another third one. What is that one? Okay, there is another third one. I forgot what that is. The name. Oh my God.
Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik, and Adi Adhyatmik.
Adhyatmik. Adhyatmik means, can you tell me what that is? Adhyatmik. I wrote it down somewhere, now I can't remember. Anyway, so that those 3 types of dukkha, right? So for that, though we want to be away from all these sufferings, because it is considered as different kinds
One
of
is
suffering. So
one
we
is
want to,
man-made, one is nature-made, and the other is spirit-made.
right, that last one is the natural causes that causes like earthquake or hurricane or tsunami
That's
or
why
some other,
nature.
mother nature causing the damage, calamities that causes dukkha. That also, that to remove that, that we want to, we ask for the shanti, that peace. That's what, that is another type of shanti that we pray for, to remove all my sufferings, all these sufferings. That's how that prayer for. So I just thought I'd share that. But this Swamiji, this particular thing, the 3 Shanti they mentioned, which is the freedom from thinking. First one is freedom from thinking, like means it doesn't, your thought process much cut down. But then the second Shanti is, you have freedom from thinking, but then again there is, your mind can be still be active, meaning that you could function the daily activities, that kind of stuff. So because your mind is needed for thinking process. So the third one is the moksha shanti. We talked about that. Can you go down? Go down meaning forward. meaning after this. Yeah. Knowledge-based devotion, we did this. Yeah, we did this also. Can you go a little bit more? Shanti, that is oneself. Yeah. Okay. Okay, this is where I stopped yesterday. The Nirvana Paramashanti does not depend on. Do you want me to? I'll read this part because here this word about mat samasta meaning mat adina. So the shanti, that is oneself, because this shanti is identical with oneself. Krishna describes it as mat samasta, meaning mat adina, that which always obtains in the Paramatma, because Paramatma does not move at any time. It is kutastha, immutable. It does not get involved with anything and does not stand opposed to anything either. So basically here it says, this, when you meditate, you gain this freedom, you gain this shanti. That's called that matadinam shanti adhigachati. Adhigachati meaning gaining, thereby the freedom for liberation. What I wanted to read was little bit further down, please. Can you go down a little bit more? Yeah, a little bit more.
Are you able to see the screen, full screen? I mean, here, Nirvana Param Shanti.
Yeah. We did this yesterday, Nirvana. I did read this. They are under the superimposition and its negation. It's a last paragraph that I wanted to read. Yeah, okay. Here it is. So here, this particular paragraph is very nice. I thought I'll read it because it kind of gives all the things together here. Superimposition and its negation. The conditions of the mind, like agitation or superimpositions on Atma, which is Chaitanya, consciousness, that which obtains in all conditions and is independent of all conditions, free of all conditions. Words like Shanta negate the superimposition, revealing the Swarupa of Atma as something independent of Ashanti, that is superimposed upon Atma when we say Atma is Ashanta. So here we need to clarify, this Shanti is not a attribute of Atma. The Shanti it's a Swarupa Lakshana of the Atma. So Atma is Agam Santaka. So it is Santa Swarupam. So, but then all this superimposition on top of it, the mental agitation or some thinking or all those things superimposed on top of it, then the mind becomes asant. You don't have any peace of mind. So that is what is named here Atma Shanta. But there isn't anything. Atma itself doesn't have a Shanta. It's a Shanta. So therefore, this Shanti is not a conditional Shanti. It is a Swarupa Shanti. Because it is not conditional, it is called Swarupa. Atma is free from any form of vritti. That is a thought. Even though vrittis are not free from Atma. So Atma doesn't have it doesn't have any thoughts, but then the thoughts are not free from Atma. So the thought, actually the consciousness is where the thoughts arise, right? So the thoughts are with the Atma, but then Atma is not is without any thought. When vrittis happen and there is an appreciation of Atma as Atma Santaha. The vittis do not disturb the Santa Atma. So basically, it's a that's why this is called. This is what is meant by Nirvana Parama Shanti. A Shanti that is purely the form of knowledge and recognition. So Nirvana means like attaining moksha, and Parama Shanti is that attaining that knowledge is that's the form of that recognition. So that's basically it here. Can you go a little bit? So one who recognizes oneself as Paramatma, understand the Swarupa Shanti of Paramatma, is said to have gained this Shanti because he or she has gained the knowledge. Such a person is called yogi here, not in terms of the eightfold yoga called Ashtanga Yoga, but purely in terms of the knowledge alone. So that's what this is like. All those terms that we read in this sloka, that can you go back to the sloka, Balaji? Yunjan evam sadatmanam yogi niyatamanasah Santim nirvana paramam mat samastam adhigacchati. So always, sada, always, Yunjan is connected in this manner, evam, in this manner. The meditator, the yogi, is a meditator, one who has mastered his maniyata manasaha, shantim nirvana paramam. So we read that. And matsamastam is that which is centered on me, who is centered on me, that gains this peace, shanti. So that's the whole thing about this sloka.
Yeah.
So here again, like when we read this, how much this, when we were imagining, like the Atma Bodha, we were reading one sloka, I don't remember, in the 60 verse, I think, where you're doing that calculation like banker and all that stuff, right? So this whole consciousness, when you're trying to imagine, it's all pervading each and everything, even yes, this morning I was putting that almond in my mouth. When you taste it, even in almond, the taste comes because of that consciousness. Like everything, every little thing is pervaded by this consciousness. So now, there is nothing in this world without that. So we have to, uh, when you visualize that, that's a knowledge point. That's what I always ask, what is that knowledge we are talking here to remove this ignorance? So that's the knowledge, like at least the Brahman. What is Brahman? Where is this Brahman located? It's in you only. But even in us, it says heart cave, in the heart space. The last one you read was the space heart. It's like Akasha. It's described as Akasha. And it's described as illumination. It's a self-illuminating lamp in you. So however you want to think about it, it's everything. Remember we read that one cell organism to the human beings, the top, and then in the living part, and non-living also. Everything is pervaded by this consciousness. And what else I wanted to say? So when you see everywhere that you see that happiness, like, so we have this, we are all, our true nature is the happiness, right? So when you hear even the santosha, where I read something, 3 different things. You get happy when you when you eat something, when you get something, when your wish is fulfilled. Those are 3 different ways they name this happiness. But the true happiness is there within us, is what makes you happy. Like when you go in your nature, and the other day I was walking last week, I saw these animals like a deer and turkey fly, you feel so happy. And then this creek running, and you hear the sound, that water is so clear, and all that. When you see that, makes you feel happy, right? That happiness is this true happiness that you see. That's where this consciousness gives you that happiness. When you see that, when you are one-on-one with that happiness, that that's what I wanted to share also.
Oh, beautiful, Dr. Mara. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. What
Yeah,
little
dhanyavad.
knowledge that I acquired through these classes, but I'm very grateful reading with you guys, and it's really helpful to be, understanding this big knowledge. I mean, we can't do it by ourselves.
Very, very beautifully summarized, Dr. Mara, both Atma Bodh and chapter, this verse number 15. So beautifully summarized. We are grateful. Like here, Bhagwan said, Mat Chitta Mat Para, we will be able to get that Param Shanti, which is our own Swarupa.
Yeah. Yeah,
Very
we
good.
have to realize it, how much this God thought about all these things, and then it's a life force in everything. Inanimate objects or running, regular things, everything is pervaded. I mean, it's amazing, and we still need to read a lot and to understand it correctly. We can't take any short paths here, but I
Correct.
think the more we understand, I think you will realize that that knowledge, for when we acquire that type of knowledge, and it will definitely clear the ignorance part.
Very true, Dr. Mara. And it is just the wonderment we feel. The more we read, the more we go in depth, we are amazed that so much diversity is there in the universe, but still there is that oneness. So much of diversity.
Like we always see it in you, me, and all that, right? Like we always seeing in like we are different from other people and all these things, right? So how do we kind of get over this differences and that kind of stuff when you look at it? And then this is all like one big consciousness. That's all it is, like it's not like you cannot give any name and form to it, and it just one of those things, like it just you can't see it, you can't feel it. It just one of those things, like it's
that medium, substratum on which the
yeah,
whole creation plays.
it's there everywhere. That's a
Hmm.
Vishnu, right? Like
Very good.
yeah,
Vishnu everywhere. So
yeah, Vishnu everywhere.
I think the definition of Vishnu I had read, but I think the time is up today. So we will share it tomorrow.
Yeah,
Vishnu, very, very beautiful. Very nice. Dhanyavad, Dr. Mara and everybody.
you're welcome. I know I have to thank all of you guys listening to me. Thank
It
you.
was beautiful the way you summarized even the Atma bodha from the Swami Chinmayananda's text. We are really grateful.
And also, you know, that when Dr. Mara was saying that the deer was running around and the water crystal clear, I was able to totally picture the person. Actually, I am visualized and I felt so joyful. Yeah.
You won't believe, yeah, last week, 4 days, I went for a nearby, ranch that we have. It's very hilly area here, there's a bunch of, like a herd of deers. We talked about that, that the seed we pick up. I was telling my friend, hey, the deer is considered one of those very clean animal, and then it just so amazing, like to see all these animals awake, all very active in the morning. Everything, the flowers. I tried to enjoy everything this week. It was so amazing, like after reading all these things, like the
Very
flowers.
true, very true. I agree with you. The whole
Yeah.
creation brightens up, no? The whole
Right.
creation, even the smallest insect will amaze us. I mean, the way it has been created, really, we feel, wow, that feeling comes out, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will close here. The time is up. I will just say the Shanti mantra and we will close down. With that beautiful, wonderful thought, we will close down. Kindly keep it in your mind throughout the day. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kashchit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu. धन्यवाद सर्वेभ्यः. जय गुरुदेव. Have a wonderful day,
Thank you so
everybody.
much, everyone. Balaji especially. Thank you.
Jai Gurudev, thank you.
Jai Gurudev. धन्यवाद to everybody.